Hey everybody, WWJD here of Pacific Fury. So this month, instead of doing a normal written text update, I've elected to create this video to show off Milestone One for Pacific Fury. For those of you who aren't aware, we have broken up our development cycle into milestones. Each milestone is going to encapsulate a specific portion of the development process. Milestone 1 has been the largest single milestone that is planned, and it is the one that we have just completed. This is a massive deal when it comes to our progress. It's definitely something that's motivating. It definitely shows that we have made good progress as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a little bit of time, and we're going to talk about what's in Milestone 1, what all do we accomplish, and then I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to talk about what is in Milestone 2, what are we going to accomplish, and then I'm going to talk about what's going to come on beyond Milestone 2. So Milestone 1 is the single largest milestone in our planned development, as stated previously. It is everything that goes from the concept of the game up to the point of having all of the basic systems for ship-to-ship combat. To further elaborate on that, at the very beginning of when this game was being developed, it was simply an idea. The concept of taking a game like Pacific Storm and doing all these unofficial patches was really fun. I really enjoyed being a part of that and its community. But over time, its engine lacked the flexibility to allow us to improve the game further. So the concept was, well, what kind of game can we create for the existing community that's going to be still new and different in a way, but also still going to have some of the old traditional values that the Pacific Storm franchise maintained. And that was the concept, and that still is the concept today. Especially if you've been following us along with our development, we've brought the game up Pacific Storm all the time. People ask us questions if things are going to be in the game in Pacific Fury that were in Pacific Storm. And we definitely recognize that that's kind of the heritage of what Pacific Fury is about. Though again, it's still going to be a different game. So, we have this concept, and then we have to move forward. We have to figure out how we're going to get this game to run. Well, in our development, we decided that we're not going to use an already existing engine like Unity or Unreal or anything like this. We decided that we're going to build our own engine from the ground up. So we had literally nothing. So, for the beginning of Milestone 1, we started developing the engine. It's certainly a huge undertaking. We have to build everything from logs, the log systems, to how the ships move, to how they interact and take damage. All of these intricate parts of a video game that you normally don't think about, we have to think about it, and we actually have to integrate it and do all the programming for it. And it's certainly a huge task, and it's one of the reasons why development seems relatively slow. We announced Pacific Fury before we even had much of the engine to show, and that was understood. But it was done to be transparent to the community. It was done to allow us to bring the community with us in our development process and development cycle. And hopefully you guys are able to see that with our monthly updates. Hopefully you can go back and you can read, the things that we have done and the progress we have made over time. And it's a lot of fun for me even to be able to go back and to see, where we were and where we are, and to see the progress that we've made over time. So Milestone 1, again, we have a lot of the engine that we have to build. We integrated a rendering engine, so we're using the Ogre 3D rendering engine. It's a open source free tool. It's actually what Pacific Storm used. It's certainly not what I would call the most technically advanced, but it definitely gets everything done that we need to. Plus, it uses similar formats to what people would recognize from the old Pacific Storm game. Of course, we're using a newer version of it, so we have a whole lot more stuff we get to do with it. But it also saves us a whole lot of time because all the rendering and all the code that does the graphics and the rendering, we just have to use the library. We don't have to code all that stuff manually ourselves. Similarly, the physics engine, we're using PhysX, and at the time when I announced that, several people, definitely had their concerns. I totally recognize that, but it does seem to be working really well for us. There haven't been any kind of glaring issues or faults. In fact, we're even able to use it for our hit detection. So far, it looks like PhysX was definitely a great option. Again, it's a free tool, free library, so we don't have to do all the back-end programming. We just get to use the library in this game. It saves us a whole lot of time. From there, of course, we have to string all this together in the form of an engine and to be able to get scenarios working. And so there's a whole lot of other small minor details, like we integrated a free library based on Ogre for our particle effects. We have done more work to our damage system. That's actually done manually. I do the back end for that. So that's a whole lot of the work that we've been doing. On the asset side of things, we've also been able to get 2 great modelers. I'm sure you guys have seen them in the Discord. I show off some of their work whenever I have the opportunity to. And they have managed to put together 2 destroyers for us. And pardon my pronunciation, I'm not super great at this, but we now have the Fletcher class and the Fubuki class. 1 ship for the United States, 1 ship for Japan. We also have modeled the anti-aircraft guns for the Fubuki, and we are currently in the process of making the A guns for the Fletcher. The main guns are already made, and those are made with the main hull. So that is basically Milestone 1. We have all the basic systems for ship-to-ship combat. They're running in a basic scenario, and we have 2 ships. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but again, as I've explained, we went from 0 to where we are today. And so overall, Milestone 1 has been the largest single milestone, and it should continue to be the single largest milestone. So from here on out, hopefully development will speed up relative, because now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking these systems that we've built and we're just going to be expanding upon them. In some of the later updates, they may sound kind of boring because it might just have notes saying we're refining XYZ system, but refining a system should take less time, it should take less effort, and it's all thanks to the work we put forward in Milestone 1. So looking forward into Milestone 2, what are we looking at doing and how? Well, we again are going to be working on refining the engine. So we're going to be taking these systems that already exist. Again, we have all the systems we need, and we're going to be working on refining them. So just as an example, one of the things in Milestone 1 that we were not able to accomplish is taking our particle system and have it layered properly. So right now, in the middle of a ship versus ship combat, you will have the particle effects overlay all of the ships, which in some instances is correct, but not in all. For instance, if you have an explosion of water right next to a ship and the splash that is supposed to be in the water is now looking like it's over the ship, that's incorrect. So we need to make sure that we have our particle system do proper layers. We also need to do better implementation with our damage model. So we have the damage system, but we have to actually fully integrate it with all the different hit compartments from our physics engine that does our hit detection. We also need to work on integrating our files into the engine. So all of the goal is to, of course, have all of the statistics of ships and their equipment in our XML files, much like how Pacific Storm did it. This allows it to be easily modified both by us and for others. It will also allow us to create an editor later on in the future if we so desire, like for a module or something. But right now, a lot of the numbers are hard-coded into the engine. They were there for testing purposes. Now that we've gotten through Milestone 1, we don't need them there for testing. We need them there to be functional. So we're going to go ahead and get all those converted over to reading from the XML files as they need. In terms of assets for Milestone 2, what we need is we're going to be getting at least 2 new classes of ships. I don't know if I have announced them yet, but they are going to be cruisers. You can definitely look at our ship list on our website if you're kind of wanting to speculate about what we're going to be having. We'll also be creating more and higher quality particle effects. At the moment, we're using a lot of stand-ins, so we're going to be working on getting some of those fleshed out. Hopefully we can also be able to hire another person to work on the particle effects, and possibly someone else to be keying in a whole lot of the historical data that we are collecting for these ships. So Milestone 2 is going to be a lot of engine refinements. It's also going to be on asset creation. Looking further ahead in development, we have many other milestones. You can check us out on the Trello board. I should have that posted in the Discord and on the website. If not, feel free to PM me or email me for a link. And you can see our chart that outlines all of the different milestones and how that's going to work in development. For instance, Milestone 3 is slated for base development, so like terrain and building up bases. Milestone 4, I believe, is slated for aircraft. And so, again, all of these things are going to be built off of the systems that we integrated in Milestone 1. So we've done a whole lot of progress. Again, in the background, I'm sure you've been seeing some of the footage that shows off the different Milestone 1 features that we have. And so that's where we are, looking at development. I want to thank you all, of course, for all of your support and the time you spend with our community. I certainly want to thank you just on a personal note. I've been around this community since the Pacific Storm days, since I was just a teenager, and it's been a whole lot of fun. I've learned a whole lot of things, met a whole lot of fun people. It's definitely been just a great experience overall, and I'm really happy to be a part of working on Pacific Fury, and still being able to stay in touch with all of you in this community. So thank you all for your support. Thank you for everyone who has donated in the past. All that money is going to either supporting me when I was in between jobs, or it has gone to back into the game development, which is really helpful, especially now that we have asset creators who are creating these really awesome models, and I really appreciate all the work they do. I also do want to thank all of the people who have worked on this project. We have a good number of people in our dev team. Again, we have 2 modelers. We have people working on historic research. We have a couple of managers running and helping me manage everything. It's definitely, I really appreciate all the work you guys do. And once again, I really do thank you guys for being a part of this community and sticking with us on our development. If you have any questions, let me know on Discord. You can email me. I'm definitely willing to answer as many questions as I can. But hopefully this has been a good overview for our development up through potentially Milestone 2. Have a great one, and as always, I'll see you here, there, or in the air.